Art, music, is a form of expression. And all over the world, many artists or creators have got a way of expressing themselves and telling stories. And in this video, I will be discussing art with an artist from Cameroon. Let us dive into it quickly. So, welcome. This is a man called Jay, and you are watching Africans in London TV. I'm happy to introduce to you one of the best artists I have seen from Africa. To be precise, West Africa, Cameroon. So, Sam, welcome to Africans in London TV. Let us talk art.
Thank you very much, Jay. I'm very, very honored and privileged for this opportunity to meet you once more again. I can remember the last time we were on the same show, and lots of great things happened. And things have changed, so it's a good thing to tell the world to again what has been happening through these past months.
Fantastic. So, we know, as you can see, I have just put a slide here. You have done a whole lot of works. But could
Yeah.
you share your ideas of how you come to create your art and why? And what are you exactly telling the people out there?
All right, Joe. My main inspiration generally is my culture, my roots, where I come from. Art, like you introduced rightly, is a way to tell your story to the world, and people express in different ways. I feel I'm obliged to tell the people in the West in particular because now I reside in North Wales in the United Kingdom. I've been here for close to a decade, and I feel that an authentic story about Africa from an African is what everyone else in the world deserves. People have told our story in a way that sometimes does not really reflect to the Africa we want to actually recognize ourselves with or align ourselves with. So I use art as a way to tell my story to the world, and my main inspiration is my culture. That notwithstanding, along the way, as an artist, you have different experiences in your life. My travel to other countries in the world did not leave me the same. Sometimes I see myself expressing my experience too in Wales, what I have learned from the people here, because there is quite a lot of knowledge in the world, and you gather it by traveling. So with time, my art has changed, also depending on where I went to. But that notwithstanding, I'm always very connected to my culture in my inspiration. Thank you,
So,
Joe.
yes. Now, this looks like is this part of your new art or new collection?
Yes, these are my recent works of art, and yeah, the four you're showing, yeah, they are purely recent. I think all of them are done in 2023.
So
Yeah.
now moving on, you started in Cameroon, right?
Yes, I started in Cameroon, and I painted in Cameroon for close to about 3 decades. I was born and raised in art.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so now, since coming to Europe, let us, because Wales is part of Europe anyway,
Right.
how have the people or your audience actually received your work?
Very good question. At the beginning, Joe, like anything new, my audience did not really identify with my own form of art. I met people who questioned why I did my art the way it was. Some of them were like, the art is very colorful, but I could understand. Here in Wales, the weather is always gray, and my art reflected more of the sunshine of Africa. The colors I would bring out in my art would be more colorful than the colors people are used to in this particular part of the world. So people attacked and criticized my art for being unnecessarily very colorful. Along the line, I made them to understand that art was a way for me to tell them where I'm coming from. That it is colorful because I was born in a colorful country in the sunsets of Africa. And that is a great inspiration to my art. It's so difficult for me to avoid that. Someone even had the audacity to tell me that if I wanted to prevail in art in Wales, I should paint like a certain known artist in Wales called Coffin Williams. I looked at his paintings, but that was not my genre. And my intention in art is not to become another painter. It's to become a better me along the line. But there is a good story at the end. Because of this resilience and perseverance, because I did not bow down to these controversies along the line, even some of the people who fought against my way of art became supporters and promoters, which means that at the end of the day, I'm doing very, very well. I'm doing very well. I sell my art very well within Wales, without Wales, around the world. And people are now like, they are open to know why I'm doing what I'm doing the way I'm doing it, and not just telling me how they think I should do what I want to do. So there is some respect at the end of the day, which is what I was hoping to get. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You see now, I, 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 I can see you paint in various styles. Do you use oil, or watercolor, or pencil? You know, because you can do all those styles, can't you?
I can do all the styles. I experimented in my life with many different styles. But here, my main medium is acrylic on canvas. But sometimes, occasionally, especially on request or demand, or when I'm doing a commission, I use oil. I would love to use more of oil, but the problem is that with oil, you need a bigger space to dry the work and to keep the work for some time. But with acrylic, it can just get dry in 3 days or so. But with oil, it's weeks or sometimes months, depending on the size and intensity of color on the painting. So primarily it's acrylic, but a bit of oil.
So, okay, now let us talk about this painting of the Maasai people here because actually, you know, yeah, 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 it caught my eye because you know why? Because I'm from that area of Africa. And I could see,
Okay.
yeah, well, Sam is not just paint. He can just painting. He can do paintings which really bring out stories, and I can see some of the paintings. You're also touching on historical events. As we talk, we will go through those paintings. Maybe our viewers will get to know what we are talking about. So, for example, this one here. Is this an oil paint? Which kind, in which medium did you paint this one?
Thank you for asking that. This one is an oil paint on canvas. Sometimes when I want to do a painting that requires a lot of details, I prefer to use oil because it lends itself to blending over time. You can come after 2 days and still do your graduations as you want, but with acrylic, it will be dry by 2 days. This painting took so much time to put in all the details and make sure that I bring the expressions as I saw them. And I particularly did this painting because of my experience in Kenya. I've been to Kenya, to Tanzania, and also to Uganda and South Sudan. And as an African, I understand that Africa generally should have been one country. Colonial masters came and divided the continent and called us names. And sometimes now we respect the boundaries unnecessarily. So I still identify myself with anyone else from any other country in Africa. And that those cultures are still my cultures. And I'm happy to show the world about what the Maasais do, what the nomads do. Anywhere in Africa, I'm happy to show the world that this is our tradition, this is our culture. And I still identify myself with anything that comes from any part of Africa because we are one, irrespective of the colonial boundaries.
So now let me let me go to another painting which is very very distinctive. This one here, it looks like somebody is trying to express something. Have a look. This one here.
Yes, yeah, that painting is talking on its own. It's a sermon in pictorial form. Sometimes, Joe, I tell stories like this. This one was used for an activist movement, reminding the African girl child that this is their time, their place, and their turn to also take front stage at the world issues. You know, the African girl has been deprived of too much, and sometimes they do not know that the world is for them to go and conquer. It was a way for them to know that their ancestors are still with them, holding their hands up and expecting them to go out there in the world and become the best possible that man or woman can be. It's a pledge, it's a prayer, It's a motivation. It is an inspiration. It's rooting for the African girl, for the girl child. Because when you talk about privilege, the African girl falls so shallow, so low when it comes to privilege. Beginning from the white male to the African girl child, they are so low in terms of what is considered privilege in the world. And I think that we should help them to emancipate themselves from this and to tell the world that, contrary maybe to the opinions of some naysayers and skeptics, they too have something relevant to contribute to the world. So that's the story behind this painting.
Good. Now, this is the painting. Another painting that I want you to talk about.
Yeah, well, I call this painting the Four Sisters, or some people call it Four Women. My In my culture, women have a high level of respect because we consider our women as the mothers of our culture, and our dynasty where I come from was founded by a lady, by a woman. We call her Yangonso. That is why in many of my paintings you would see female figures. They just remind me of the power of a woman, the relevance of a woman to the power of a man. And I always believe in those words that behind a successful man, there is a strong woman. If I'm here today talking to you, it's thanks to the powerful woman that gave birth to me, Joe. My mother was my hero. She raised me to believe that I was a superman, even though I was raised in some of the deprived conditions you can ever imagine. So those paintings reflect mirages or constellations of that female background where I come from.
So now, let us move on. Because this one here, it has got a whole lot of things in it. A person like a layman like me, I wouldn't even know what it is saying.
Yeah. Well, like this painting, it has three purposes. One of them, I just want to symbolize some of the African masks, the masks from my village that I know about. Second is just to make something beautiful. And third, to tell a story of heritage. You know, uh, the African mask sometimes can be heavy to carry them around the world. So wherever I am, sometimes I want to paint what I know so people can see how we have been connected to art a long time ago. People think that modern art is something which was started just like in the last century or so. But Africans from the beginning, they have been doing modern art. When you look at some of the paintings of Picasso, you can see structures like this that he has painted in his own way, which tells us how he was connected at some point to paintings from Africa. But I do them because I am them. I know them. Those are my ancestors in a way, and they are connected to me, giving me the authority to present them to the world like that. So this is just a way to show the world the spiritual connection we have with our ancestors. These masks are not just for decoration, they are ways to invoke the powers of the forces that were there before us. Sometimes when I'm around them, I feel I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, my ancestors, Joe.
Yes, well,
That's what they symbolize.
I can see that. Yes.
And
Now,
you can see, yeah, okay.
yeah, no. That's good. That's good to know. But you have painted so much. I just want to ask this question: have you exhibited your art? Well, apart from Wales, and I know you are selling this art online. Have you exhibited anywhere? Say, for example, in London. Have you ever had a chance to bring your art to London?
Not yet, Joe. I've been looking for this opportunity, and even though not actively, I've not gone on an expedition purely to look for that opportunity, but I look forward to silently in my mind. I've done exhibitions in Wales, in many parts of Africa, then mostly online, but not yet London. And in America, I've done some exhibitions uh, by extension, like some friends showing my paintings and selling them for me without my presence there. But that's not the real thing. I would love to be there. I would love to be in London showing my paintings to the neighborhoods of London, telling people why the paintings are the way they are and why some brush strokes are going to the left, some to the right. But for now, not yet. That's the answer.
Now, you see, let me ask this question. Probably you might have an answer. You know, what I have discovered is that African art is actually known around the world. But however, we do not know many African artists. What is that? Is it because of it is not promoted properly, or what does it need to be done?
In my opinion, that problem comes from two sides. The first thing is that the African artists themselves, they don't really document their works. You know, I've seen many great African artworks around the world without signature, without even a signature. And sometimes I ask myself, how do you do this meticulous work and send it out there to the world without your signature? Which means that maybe they don't even have a record of what they have done. So I think that problem can be solved first by the African artists taking their time to make sure that before any work goes out, the work is documented and they keep a diary of their works, especially these days, an online diary of what has gone out. The signature, the title, the date that was done, and even the inspiration. When somebody buys the painting then from them, that person knows that this painting is from this particular artist and this was the raison d'etre behind that painting. The story behind the painting is stronger than the painting itself. So African artists fail in this. And then secondly, I also blame people who collected the paintings from them because they should have made sure that the paintings are regularized in a way that they can always be connected to their source.
So okay, so many things I can ask. Like when I'm looking at the screen now, I can see these could be turned into postcards and stuff like that. Is that something that you have in? Do you do this kind of thing as part of selling your art?
Not yet. Another answer, not yet. Yeah, not yet. I would love to, but maybe I need someone to work with that. I'm not good at digital art. Someone, if I have someone who can support in that particular way, I'm open to those things. But I don't have the time to do everything on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we know. You see,
yeah,
like me, I am a musician. I can write good music, but since I'm not a businessman, I find it very difficult unless I get a manager. So, artists of any form, we have got those challenges. You need to have an agent. You need to have someone to say well, we can make money here and there as we
yeah.
concentrate on creating. So now we're gonna wrap up very soon. What is your plan now for 2024?
For 2024, my plan is to reach out to a broader audience, become better in my art. Also, there is something that in my art exploits emerge as another talent that I did not realize that I had. Because I became so good at telling the world about my painting, my art, the things I've been doing, people started inviting me to not only present art, but to talk about myself, about my journey as an artist from Africa to Europe, and how to tell other artists why I've been able to succeed. What was the driving force behind me? What was the push? You see? So eventually, I ended up as a public speaker, a motivational speaker. I go through schools and talk to young people in particular around Wales, encouraging them. And sometimes I also talk to artists back in Africa, helping them to keep the spirit, not to bother about certain things that may impede them from moving forward, but to know that if you can dream big and work hard, there is no limit to who you can become. I tell them my own story because I come from a very, I mean, I did not begin with the ideal conditions, Joe. It's a journey from humble beginnings. But I always aim for something more than what my convention could provide for me. And at the end of the day, I'm a testament of the fact that there is no limit to what a human being who believes and works hard can do. So I use myself as an example to also motivate people wherever they are. And I am a believer too of the idea that there is no human being without a talent. Everyone is born good at something. But people have to challenge themselves to look deep inside within them and see what they have, what they can contribute to the world, and see how they can use this thing to solve more problems, more human problems. So in 2024 and beyond, I will still be exhibiting the art, but also talking much about the art and also about developing human competencies and potentials wherever I find the human being.
That's very interesting. Let us see. Now, as we are wrapping up, you know, I'm going to talk about this painting. In our first show, you told me that many people, when they saw your work, they thought you were copying someone else.
Yeah,
So,
hardly.
so how have you managed to? Where are we now? Because I can see those questions can still be asked.
You know, um, because of ignorance, many people do not know that painters revered and respected in Europe, like Henri Matisse and Pablo Picasso, that they had some influences. They had some connections to African art, and that changed their art form for good. They started presenting some of their images, their imagery, their pictorial renderings relating to something that they saw in an African work of art. And some people thought that they were the inventors of that. They did not acknowledge where they copied from. For example, there is a statue from the Vili people in the Congo that was at a museum in France that Pablo Picasso saw and copied so much from that statue. Then he started copying from others. He would visit some of the museums and look at the African figurines and copy them. When I came to Europe with similar pictures, some people were like, "You are trying to paint like Picasso or like Matisse." I was fast to tell them that no, Picasso and Matisse are trying to paint like me. They are painting like me because I'm painting what my ancestors left for me, but they're painting what they copied from my ancestors without actually recognizing the ancestors. If they recognized, the world would have known that that was more me than them. So along the line, I don't get so much of those kind of take critiques again. I think more people are understanding that their inspiration when it concerns modern art wasn't that original as the world thought.
So now, this is the last question. Artists, I know we have got many artists who resides in Africa and in Cameroon. So because I'm talking to a Cameroonian, I need to know what are the challenges of Cameroonian artists they are facing down there in their homeland.
Yeah, they have this challenge, man, of good medium, good painting medium. They don't have this medium. Art medium is very expensive. I was lucky that I got connection with some American Peace Corps and some volunteers from the Netherlands and Belgium when I was back in Africa. So they supported me with wood art material, canvas, and oil paintings. But many talented African artists don't have the good medium, and because of that, they cannot really sell their art at the world market at good prices. Also, there is a problem of exposure. Many of them are not well exposed to the world. They don't have managers or people to come and stand and take their art to where they want the art to be. And many artists too, I realize that they live more a life of introverts. They are people who are living more inside and in their thoughts than they don't act. They don't go out there to look for opportunities like I used to do. I realized that I had to take my good work to the world. Otherwise, I may wait forever for people to come to me. So those are some of the challenges. And their governments too don't support them. Here in Wales, the government, maybe through organizations like the Art Council of Wales and many other funds, support their artists in one way or the other. They understand the importance of art in the keeping of heritage and tradition and customs or ideals of the people. They understand that if the traditions of the people don't survive with their civilization, then something is lacking. And artists keep that civilization or that heritage, that tradition, more than many other sectors of society. But in Africa, most of the governments, even their ministries of cultures, they don't really go so much to make sure that the ordinary artist can have the basics to thrive on. So they don't have this motivation, Joe. They don't have this motivation. I know passionate young men and women who just lack the basic push from their governments, from their communities. And another thing is that many people in Africa don't respect the African creativity. It's shameful that For a long time when I was doing my art, even sometimes my neighbors did not come to appreciate what I was doing. It was until people from the West came to my house and started appreciating what I was doing that some of my neighbors saw that there was meaning in that. They take it common because they know who is producing it, you know. That is one thing with the African mindset. They don't respect their own inventions or their own creativity. I think if we can help ourselves to know that we are the masters of masterpieces and that also the things we produce can be of standard to the world, can be the touchstone of value, that can be good. You cannot stand around your creativity and you are timid or frightened or intimidated. You have to be proud and have confidence and believe that you too have a say to what the world is becoming. So I think those are some
Okay.
of the challenges that they have to face.
So, well, Samuel, thank you very much again for giving us that kind of information. Now, I would like to ask you if someone wanted to buy your art or to find you, to connect with you, where can that? Could you give us your website? Tell us your website, Instagram or Facebook page. We will link them down we will link them down below.
Yes, I'll give you all of that information and you will link them down. Anybody can get to me through that. Even my business mobile number is there. My I have a website, fikela.jinsamuel.org. I have my Instagram, I have Facebook, I have TikTok, and yeah, all these things.
The whole
So
works.
and yeah, and just by googling my name, Fikela Jin Samuel on Google, a lot comes about my exploits and expeditions throughout the world.
Well, thank you very much. This is what we have time
You're
for,
welcome.
and but I'm sure we will connect more then because I know you have painted. You've got so much to talk about. So for
Right.
now, we're gonna stop here, and we will be back in another video.
Thank
So
you, Joe.
that was Samuel, Jean Samuel. I know he has got another name which I failed to pronounce properly. But as you can
Fikela.
see, Samuel is an international artist. And here at AILTV, we are really, really committed to dig out Africans, whether they live in Africa on the continent or they're in the diaspora. We want to see where we are. We want to know our challenges. We want to see our progress. And I hope from this video you will learn a lot about African art and especially from Cameroon, West Africa. For now, until then, ciao. And I'm a man called Jay, by the way.